Obviously, the radiation is a little insane, but you know what? For something so advanced, why not let it radiate out and tell the world about its greatness? As you can see behind me, we're at our nuclear power site, and we are about to complete the final step to take us all the way to powering up the last, I think, 4 nuclear power plants with Fixonium fuel rods. We're heading on over to our 20 per minute electromagnetic control rod production that we did together. And I've actually gone around and I've actually added some signs as well. We had previously put it into a truck station, but I forgot that we had this empty space right here. Oh, we don't need this. Let's get rid of that. I forgot we had this empty space right here. So I'm just directly sending the products all the way through and sending them out this way, just underneath our fixed site Trigon facility. All of this is necessary in order to create Fixonium fuel rods, and I've kind of created a bit of a prototype down here. We need 10 per minute Fixonium. There's going to be 2 of these, so 20 total. We're going to need the 10 per minute electromagnetic control rod times 2. We're going to need 200 per minute fixed site Trigon times 2, and we're going to need excited photonic matter times 2, 100 per minute. We're actually going to have 200 per minute of dark matter residue coming out non-stop, so we got to deal with that byproduct. Fortunately, where we are creating Fixonium, I've actually already summer slooped our 200 per minute creation of dark matter residue right here. So you'll notice inside here that I have an insert for the dark matter residue. Right now it has 400 per minute in it from down below, but then once we pull out that summer sloop, it's going to get cut to 200, and I have already piped it up in advance so that we have everything that we need to make this as smooth and painless as possible. We have 420 per minute of fixed site Trigons flowing in. We have 20 per minute of the electromagnetic control rods flowing in. And then we've got 20 per minute of the Fixonium flowing in. And in the back, essentially I've taken one converter and underclocked it to 50% so that it is 100 per minute on the output, so that we'll have 2 converters, 1 converter per quantum encoder. So everything that we need is already here. And I even have a destination for the output where I have an output lane already hooked up to each one of these Fixonium nuclear power plants, where we're going to be able to send the Fixonium fuel rods. We're going to need multiple inputs. We basically have our excited photonic matter already taken care of just with the converter, and we're going to have these 3 inputs right here. So let's go ahead and just get these all hooked up. I had them kind of in a straight line. I realized I could have hooked them up a little bit staggered, but I don't know. I figure I kind of like this. I kind of like this. So I don't know which one's which, so I'm not going to color them up just yet, but we're going to have Fixonium, we're going to have the electromagnetic control rods, and we're going to have the fixed site Trigon. I guess I can just go down below. This is awesome. I forgot I did all this. See, I've already done the path. I've done the wiring. It's all there, and we've got 3 reservoirs to send forward in order to send up and into the first machine and then to the next. So we're going to want to duplicate whatever we do here 1 level above, and that will take care of everything. How are we going to pipe this thing? I guess the question is, we can easily take the goods here. They should be pretty saturated. Yeah, we can easily take these goods here and just toss them in there, and that's one thing. But I kind of feel like we should maybe bring them up to the ceiling, branch them off, send those goods up to the next quantum encoder, and then also branch them off at the same time and then feed them. Actually, before I do that, where do we want these lanes to go up? Because we are going to have another quantum encoder on top, and it's just a matter of where do we want the lanes to go up. I guess we've got all of the waste coming out this way, so maybe I'll just have the lanes right here, right next to the converters, up to the next level. So we should probably determine exactly where is the next level, right? How high does this have to go? One thing to note is that there's going to be a giant beam coming out of right here that's going to shoot right through it. So I'm going to want to have both of the quantum encoders right on top of each other, perfectly on top of each other, so that it doesn't look weird that the beam is going through the other machine. It'll just sort of like join in with the other quantum encoder's beam. So we'll raise that up. So this is 4 high, which is not bad, because if you look at the quantum encoder, or the converter, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, they have 5 to clear it. And we do have a converter right here, so 5 seems to be a good height to go with. So let's do that. And then we'll go ahead and have 1, 2, 3, and 4 wide. And then we'll just stretch that out all the way. Do you remember when we used to make those sort of Pantheon style like pillar structures in order to make turbo motors and things like that, where we don't actually enclose it all in glass? That might be something to look into. Maybe these are, the story goes, the quantum encoders are so advanced they need good ventilation. It doesn't make sense to have them all, you know, inside of a building with no full airflow at all, right? I don't know. Maybe that's something we can look into. So that's about as high as we got it. I mean, it seems like a good height. The thing is that if I want to send a pipe on over, it's going to be running along the ceiling, because look at the height in order to feed, right? I'd basically have a pipe like this. Am I okay with that? I think I'm okay with that. Granted, we'll see everything joining together from one machine to the next, but I think I'm okay with that. We want a quantum encoder exactly in the same spot above. This is 1, 2, and between tile 2 and 3, I'm going to split these outputs perfectly, and we're going to be 2 back. So let's go ahead and just make a hold. And then it looks like we're already splitting. Oh, nice. And we're already 2 back. That's perfect. So I think if I place this right here, it's going to be perfectly in line with the one below. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. And I believe I utilize chrome, so I'm going to do the same thing. Let's go ahead and remove that quantum encoder. And then we're going to go ahead and just copy and paste that. I think it's at 200%. Yeah, 200%. Perfect. So this is exactly in the exact same spot. And then this one, we have the input ports completely centered and bifurcating. So we'll hold. And that is looking good already, actually. So I just need to bump this all the way up to the edge like that. And now it's in the exact same spot. We're just replicating the prototype below. All right, nice. Yeah, this is going to be very simple. This is going to be very, very simple. But I kind of wanted to take it easy because this is sort of like the last step, right? So let's go ahead and just line this up, get this like that. And then pipe mark line 1. And we're coming in with the chrome for the excited photonic matter. There it is. And we want to say excited photonic matter, and we want to come in at 50%. So that's 100 per minute, which is exactly what we need for this machine right here. Yeah, 100 per minute. Perfect. I should probably... I kind of want to have a logistics floor now that I'm thinking about it. Because even though it's going to be very straightforward, like, can we maybe have it a little shorter than I had thought it would be? Like, can we have a single logistics floor so this is in line? Let's see if we can get away with that. Is that going to cut into the converter? I realize it's not quite as nice looking, but if I did this, does that cut too close to the top of the converter? I might be okay with this. It's not horrible. And we did it on the building right next door. So yeah, I think this is fine. That's great. Although I will switch this on over to concrete down here. I find it a little easier to see and work with because it has the lines on it as opposed to the asphalt where it's like one solid color of darkness. Here, let's go ahead and cut this out, the basic walls, and there we go. At least now it's in line. Which means if I were to do this and then place this hole right here, we can just run this across, and that is not right. Okay, let's and there we go. Excellent. So that looks a lot better already. I like it. With that, we can also match the wiring so that the moment everything is ready, they'll come on up. Usually I do the wiring a little bit later, but I feel like it's going to be so much more satisfying once we actually just feed something into it, and then it's just good to go. 6, and I think we did the same thing, right? Right next door. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, great. So we just get a plug, place it, we get a plug, place it, and then we cap it off. And then I'll go ahead and just hook that all up. And then we'll come down below where it's just going to extend. And I'm going to use one of my favorite techniques that we talked about last time, where we hide the wires going between floors by hiding them in the lifts that we're sending materials up with, right? So that's going to be really cool. So we'll go 1 and 2. That's going to be that click. And then we'll just send this all the way on the bottom like that. And then we'll hook them together. And next thing you know, all we got to do is hook it up to the next floor. And we are golden. So voila. We'll get the caps. We'll hook them together. And whatever we do to one happens to the other, which is great. So now we can just close that up, no problem. And excellent. Heck, I'll even do the lines. Am I getting ahead of myself? Am I getting ahead of myself? How do we do it down below? We came in with full zones and they were facing this way. So let's just do the same thing. Like, I'm decorating before I've done function. This is a new leaf that we're turning. It's a new page in the book. I like that we can be a little bit haphazard with how we place all of this, because Coffee Stain actually included pattern removal selection, which is so cool. I just go like this and then clean up the edges. I wish it were that easy. Like, if I were painting miniatures for Warhammer 40k, wouldn't it be awesome if you could just sort of paint thinner in it like this? Bop, bop. And you just sort of dunk your whole model in paint, and then it comes out and you just paint thinner the parts that you didn't want the paint on in the first place. That would be great. I think it didn't quite get into this one, so let me just get down below and we'll place it right on the tile itself. Excellent. And then close that up. All right, so now we look the part, but we also need to have the same juice. So let's see. I do want the lanes to come up. I said probably the lanes are going to be right here. So let's get the holes. And I guess the question is, where are they coming up? Where are they coming up? We'll do one right in the middle. We'll do another one right in the middle. We'll do another one right in the middle here, like that. They'll just be completely equidistant and easy to feed. So right in the middle and right in the middle. Excellent. And then we'll have our outputs already. What's kind of funny is that I could hook this all up before we've even done anything down below. We could try the whole reverse approach, where essentially you've gotten everything hooked up and it's completely empty, and then you just sort of feed it all at once and it works or it doesn't. We could try that. That might be kind of fun. I'm sure the bunnies have done that in their lifetime. I rarely do that, but when I do, it is enjoyable. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and get the power up. We're going to go ahead and get one of the power poles, and we're going to place it on hold, and it's going to sit right smack dab in the middle of the lift, like that. Yeah, looks pretty good. And then we'll grab that and we'll shove it up to the ceiling. And we're going to have it right there on hold, and we bump it on over. There it is. Perfect. So now that hides the power coming up. We just got to hook that up like this. So there's the pole, and we'll hook it up right there. Perfect. So now it's bringing power up through this lift, and then we can hook that up to the converter. Like, actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's cut this out. We're going to go ahead and connect it to the other side. Heck, actually, yeah, to the other side. Cap it off again. Then connect it. There it is. All right, perfect. So now they got power. And now these are filling up. All right, excellent. I love that. That is excellent. So we'll just cap this up. And it seems like we have all of our floor holes here, right in line there. That's how it is downstairs. And then we'll do the same thing and connect them. There it is. So this should have, yep, it's got 1/4 of what it needs. And then down below, That is 1/4 of what it needs, and they both have the yellow status lights. Excellent. Okay, so how are we going to feed these things? I guess we can start with this. I don't even know what material this is yet, and we can get back to the routing if that bothers me, but I don't think I'm going to let it. I'm not going to let it bother me, bunnies. Not going to let it bother me. So about all the clipping and stuff like that. So here we go. We're just going to go in and hold. That's in line. I'm going to bump it on over just a tad, and there it is. So now we can receive from this point and pass that directly through. Perfect. Super clean. Great. And then we'll do the same thing here, except this can just take the right angle, and we'll do another, and this can take the right angle just like that. Perfect. Excellent. So that's straightforward. Wow, this is going to be like a 2-minute video, but I'm kind of okay with it because there's so much to look at. There is so much to look at. Don't worry. I would like to take a tour of the nuclear facility when we are done. So bring these up like this. And then we're going to run this kind of in a drive-by. How about that? So we'll do... Oh, wow. This is coming directly in. Holy moly. That is directly in line. We could do this. So I'm going to have this one just shoot right over and across, yeah? Except instead of that, now that I think about it, I'm going to put a splitter to receive. Like this. And those fixed site trigons will then fly off and we can feed something like that, let's say. So those are fixed site trigons. Although now that I think about it, maybe I want to send them over to another lane so that we can make room for the other ones, unless we let these cross over. We could do weird things like this. Does it make me happy to do so? I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be kind of interesting either way. Who knows? Like, we'll cross over. Why would we do that? I don't know. Does that make sense? Probably not. Now that I'm looking at it, yeah, I don't think that makes sense. So maybe we should adjust this. I think the big problem is I've just saturated the lift here. So I'm going to need to deconstruct and reconstruct it because they currently have fixed site trigons in there. Yeah, that's this one. Okay, so let's get rid of that. We'll put it back. And let's think this one through before we fuss that up. At least that's already pre-stacked, right? So let's try to go the far left reservoir to the far left port, and then second and over so they don't have to cross over each other. That's probably going to be the easiest. So we'll just get this lift and we'll send it over to the left side like that. And then we'll have a reception point here. And then we will bring this, well, I guess we'll get our splitter like that. And then we will pass this right on in, just like that. There we go. So now those are getting the fixed site trigons. And I know that I think the farthest over to this side is this one. And this is what I'm talking about. I would like to match the inputs. So if we look here, it's this one that has all the fixed site trigons, the long one, right? So I'd like the same thing, which means it's this one for the fixed site trigon. Let's actually color them up. See, this is exactly why color's so helpful. So this I would like to be the fixed site trigon. This one right here, right? If I double check. Because it is the long lane, yeah? Which means it's this one. That's my destination down below on the split. So if we color that up, that is this one right here. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to go in and make sure they're all colored up so that we can keep that all ordered and organized. And we'll do the same thing here. And then I'm just going to take that split. It's going to come around and it's going to fulfill the order up above like that. There we go. And it's kind of taking an outward route so that we're not obstructing the other two lanes, right? So that's great. So that's going to fill up top. And just to double check, is it filling the exact same place? And it is. Phenomenal. And it is now stacked up. That is perfect. That is perfect. That's exactly what we like to see. So for the middle lane, these are the electromagnetic control rods. So we don't want it to cross over. We're just going to send this forward like so. And I suppose this one is probably going to get sent forward. That's the Fixonium in theory. Yeah. Fixonium. I should probably put this back because it's radioactive. Now, if I bring this over here and then split off of it, my big issue is that if I put a splitter, it's going to split left and right. This is kind of blocked, and then we're going to have something here. It's going to be blocked. So either, can I come in sideways like this? Like that? Can I do this and receive this way so that it's like a pass-through? Maybe we'll do that. Maybe that's going to be how we need to do it. I'm not sure. And then we'll just kind of get the appropriate color. And just to check, yeah, we can send it just like that. Look at that. That's pretty cool. These are for the electromagnetic control rods. That's awesome. And then the Fixonium, I believe, is yellow and black, right? Yeah, it's yellow and black. So we'll do the Fixonium like this. Okay, this is a lot simpler than I was anticipating. That is great. And I think I'm going to need to rotate this around to receive like this. And it's going to come out like that. Yeah, this is all kind of wonky, but it's kind of elegant. It shoots right through and goes to the other side. I mean, like, I suppose we could do a little bit of the same here so that it's not so different. We don't like to make them feel left out. So if we turn this conveyor lift like this, then at least it is following the same logic of pass-through and whatnot. So there it is. And then we'll go ahead and just take this, send that on in again, and then we'll just pass that through. And there it is. Okay, that is kind of cool. I'm kind of cool with that kind of a split. It just sort of splits on its way through, like it just passes on the way in, and everything's all good. That's excellent. So, well, I guess let's just connect these things, right? Probably want these to maybe hug up close together and then come on out like that. There we go. And that's going to be this color, electromagnetic control rods, and those are flying up to the top right now, I suppose. Electromagnetic control rods, there they are. Look at that. Excellent. They're coming in at the right place as well, right in the middle. That's phenomenal. And there it is. And then that's the last lane. Look at this. Oh man, it seems like all the hard work has been done already. Obviously we won't have any output yet, but we'll get there. And then I suppose we'll kind of do a similar thing because it's got a wave on by. So how many? So I'm going to be there. Excellent. And now that's going to pass through. Awesome. And now the machines are singing for the first time, creating Fixonium fuel rods. That is awesome. Let's go and bump the electromagnetic control rod. Oh, they're completely saturated. So I think they're making them, right? Is that right? Oh, look at this. There they are. Look at that beam. Is it in line? I think it is. It's passing right through the other one. Fixonium fuel rods. Wow. There they are. Golly. So mind you, we do need to pass the outputs as well, right? Because they're going to stop and go idle the moment they're backed up with the dark matter residue, which is going to come along very, very rapidly, right? And we've got to merge them together and pass them through here. So let's go in and take care of the outputs as well. I guess I didn't do the entire thing. Like I didn't set up all of the logistics before I got them producing things, but close enough. At least the inputs. At least the inputs. That is very, very nice. There's barely any shenanigans here or belts or fancy strangeness. It's just very straight away and moving. Look at that. Look at that. That is crazy. That is so nice. I have half a mind to reroute the wires though, because I don't like them cutting through everything. So actually, let me go in and take care of that and then hook that up this way. There it is. That way we don't have to cut through all of the belts and stuff like that. And then as far as hooking up to the power line down below, actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to bring this on over to the other side. We're going to go ahead and add the cap. And then we're just going to hook this up directly so it's not intruding. Cut out this lane that crosses over. We'll cut out this lane. And then we can cut out this plug. And there it is. So essentially, power comes up. Oh, wow. What happened here? I've never seen that before. That's fancy. That is super fancy. Oh, there it is. Wow, that was odd. Wow, that was awesome. I've never done that before. That's super cool. Didn't know I could even do that. Didn't know it was even an option. So power comes up through there, hooks up, goes around, and then hooks up to the converter back here, and it doesn't mess with any of the pass-through with all of the ingredients. It's awesome. So first things first, let's make sure that we've got both of the pipes coming on in. We want to make sure that we've got some kind of junction here. So I'm going to go in and grab a pipeline junction. We're just going to put it in line, and I'm going to get it right, let's say, right in line. We'll go ahead and hook up the Mark II right this way. I know we don't need a Mark... Well, actually, no, we do need a Mark II, right? No, it's going to be 200 per minute. We don't need a Mark II, but it's all right. We got a Mark II, we got a Mark II. That's going to be full. Yeah, that's filling up, no problem. And then this way, we've got 2 points of entry. Yeah? So how are we going to do this? Easiest thing to do, probably we'll get a Mark II. We'll just pass it straight up. We're going to put it on horizontal to vertical hold. And then we'll bump it until it's straight, like that. And that's not wiggling around. And then we'll place that, and then I can actually get one of the floor holes, and we'll just line it up like that. Cut that out, and then we'll go in and get a pipeline Mark II and slam that right on up, just like overlapping another object's clearance. Is that right? What if we bump it back one more? Like, what if we bring it out this way? Is it just bending too hard? Is that what's going on? Pipeline Mark II? Maybe it was a little too tight. I didn't think that it was, but I guess it was. Okay, there we go. So that's all taken care of. That's great. And then we're gonna just go ahead and take this pipeline for the dark matter residue, and we're gonna slam it on over. Let me just bring that in line and hold. And just double check that's straight. Yeah, that's straight. And then in we go. So now this is actually piping some back into the main line that's going back to the Fixonium particle accelerator back there. And then we're going to need another one. And this one's going to go down instead. I do need to tailor the distance. And what I'm talking about, I need to at least be a little farther. Like, I wouldn't want it right here. I need to be a little bit farther. Let's say, how about there? That seems fine. And then we'll just let that flow right on down. Copper finish, and then we'll be able to just take this and pass it to the other part of the junction. Isn't that great? That's super simple. Bump that over one. Fantastic. And then connect them. Excellent. So now we should be getting 200 per minute of the dark matter residue flowing back. And all we have to do, because it's too much right now, it's 600 per minute going on up to that particle accelerator. All we have to do is remove the summer sloops. So summer sloop is gone. And here, summer sloop is gone. And now we're good. High five. So you can see both of these converters, they're outputting 100 per minute. So that's 200 per minute from these. And then our quantum encoder is now outputting 100 per minute each. And that's 200 per minute. So all in total, this should still be okay. That's great. Still getting its 400 per minute. That's excellent. Wow. All right, perfect. Look at that. That's not bad. That is not bad. The only other thing that we need is to receive the fuel rods and pass them on over. And then these things are going to start to come online. Oh my God. Okay. So before we do that, let's just go ahead and bring them up to the moment where that's going to happen. And because I don't want them to start powering up before this looks all fancy. So how are we going to do that? Let's just go ahead and pass them down, let's say here. That's like 2 click away. So we'll receive our very first Fixonium fuel rods. Wow. Look at that. That's the fancy stuff. My goodness. Chrome. Matching the machine, right? So we're going to do that below as well. 1 and 2 click. And then we'll receive. There it is. And then I guess, where is this going to pass down? Like, how are we going to send this down? I suppose it could be right in line. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, let's go 1 click off. So we're going to offset it. So this is the reason why. We're going to come out this way, and we're going to bump 1 left like this. And then we're going to bring that up so it's in line, 1 offset like that. And the reason why we're going to do that is because it allows us to hook up a splitter like this and then just pass the output right in like that. There we go. So we go chrome finish, chrome finish, chrome finish, and chrome finish. And then we're going to be able to send this straight down. And then open this up. And we're going to have it face this way. But then we're going to get a merger. And we can just pass this right on in like that. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so we have stuff from the top. We've got stuff from the bottom. It's merged together. We just need to hook this up, and that is it. That is it. So before I do that, let's go to make sure that this thing is all ship-shape. So do we want pillars? Do we want glass? I suppose we could have it in glass, but I don't know. It might be kind of neat to try pillars. So let's go in and just cap off this logistics floor with walls. So there we go. Man, that was super simple, super clean. No weirdness, just very straightforward. I dig it. What a way to cap that off. We're going to get our basic walls. Same deal. And run that right on down. And then if we wanted to do pillars, how would we do that? We would just get our, probably metal pillars, right? Probably metal pillars. And I don't know if I want to obstruct the walkway, if we want to walk across, right? I could be smack dab in the middle like this. Maybe like that. And then connect it up. Does that look okay? Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Is it my favorite look? Not necessarily. But you know what? It's simple and it's different and I'm okay with it. We're just experimenting. And maybe that's like a fast way to complete the building. We just do that and then we use railings instead. So we'll just grab like the industrial railing as an example and then make sure that you don't fall off when you're when you're going. Because if you think about it, this is kind of like a very narrow alleyway right here. It's not like you've got the regular room for all the staircases and stuff like that. So we're probably going to use ladders and things like that, which are a little bit different for something that is supposed to be so advanced. There we go. So we got some railings and then we'll just add the same to the top. This is where I'm really excited about 1.1 that is currently an experimental because they actually have access to elevators. And that could be really, really great for a situation like this where you've got really tight quarters and you just don't have the room for stairs. I mean, we can fit stairs, but you don't have a lot of room for stairs. I'm probably just gonna old school it and put a ladder. Where should we put a ladder? Where would you put a ladder on something like this? I mean, I suppose maybe right here on this backside. So we can leave this corner open and we can do this, open up that railing and we'll open up the next. And then we'll have a ladder just kind of leaning on up. I feel like I might want to have some kind of walkway. So I am going to go ahead and get the catwalks. And we'll get a corner like that. I'm going to mark this up as the yellow I normally do for the ladders. Going to go ahead and have probably another, maybe like another corner like that. And then we'll mark them as yellow. And that's going to make me want to use, instead of the industrial railing, I want to use the modern railing. Although I don't know if I will now that I think about it, just because I'm already using industrial railing here, which I realize is maybe not exactly in line with the other railing that I just put down, which does bother me some. There. Now bring it across. Excellent. So now it's one straight line. Perfect. And then I guess what I can do just to hide the fact that they're completely different railings, we'll just do unpainted, or actually looks more carbon steel. And that doesn't look half bad. That's not half bad. So that'll let you get on up. And if you want to get into the main building, you can take the ladder over there and then walk across. And that'll allow you to continue to walk the lane of all of the nuclear material. Okay, so now we have our structure. There they are, 2 quantum encoders. They're outputting the Fixonium fuel rods. They're sending the 200 per minute dark matter residue back on over to the Fixonium production back here. This is still moving along, no problem. There it is, 400 per minute. That's excellent. And now all we got to do is hook this up, and we're going to see these things come online little by little, right? So we're merging. Going to open this. And we're just going to take a Mark 1 and send that through, and there they go. There they go. This is awesome. So that's the last ingredient that we need in order to power these 4 nuclear power plants, and they will not generate waste because this is the super advanced Fixonium fuel rods that do not generate any nuclear waste that we have to take care of. So that is awesome. So everything's running at a Mark 1 right now. Little modern lanterns here. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. I can adjust that later. Yeah, that seems weird. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to figure that one out. Well, or maybe I just live with it. You know what? I deserve to live with something like that a tiny bit. It's actually going all the way through, yeah. And then they'll be able to stack up and saturate there and get things going. Obviously, the radiation is a little insane, but you know what? For something so advanced, why not let it radiate out and tell the world about its greatness? Okay, so I think some of them are starting to get the rods. No fuel yet. There we go, burning fuel. And now we jumped up to 278,000 megawatt, 278 gigawatt. We have this coming online soon, right? Right now we're at 279 gigawatt. Hold up. How about this? There they are. Look at that. Awesome. So they're getting it. We're at almost 300 gigawatt. Did it creep on over? Not yet. Wow, we're gonna finish this world with a little over 300 gigawatt, it seems. That's not bad. I know there are other worlds that have insane amounts of power, but you know, not bad, not bad. I think the power that we're generating, nice, 305 gigawatt. The power that we're generating is enough to cover all the shenanigans we've created. Just enough, just enough. And what's the final count? There it is. 306 gigawatt of power. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. That's excellent. So there they are. Look at all the stacks. For the very first time, 15 nuclear power plants, fully functional and operational, and at the very end of the line, 0 nuclear waste. That is awesome. So now I no longer have to run around every once in a while sinking stuff out and whatnot, because it should in theory just run on its own. So this is the moment where I no longer have to come back here and tend to everything, just making sure that not everything's all messed up and backed up and stuff like that. So let's just double check here. Fixonium, how much do we have backed up at the moment? In theory, I can actually let me take 1 stack of it just to be sure. I'm going to get rid of that, toss in 1 stack, and that's going to reduce that buildup. And there we go. So excellent. So what I'd like to do is walk the complex, because I'd like to remind myself and share with the bunnies kind of what we've done here from start to finish. And then I think we'll have one more video after this where we'll just actually walk the world itself as opposed to just one project. I've spent so long here, right? So, all right, let's do it. So here's the final count of resources. So here's our resource center. This is where we power all 10 lanes. We've got 6 drones per material. This is like the one place where we have the stadium lights. I wish I had added lights everywhere, but I guess that's for another time. And then all these materials are feeding on in to the lanes, and those lanes are flowing on over. And here are our final counts. We've got 720 per minute of the quartz crystals. We've got 1200 per minute of the aluminum ingots, 1200 per minute of, oh, I think this is aluminum, that's iron. Yeah, we've got steel ingots, we've got concrete, copper ingots, sulfur. Oh yeah, we brought in sulfur as well. Wow, we were busy. I was busy. 800 per minute of deuterium ingots, 900 per minute of uranium, 1200 per minute of silica. Wow, silica too. Man, I've forgotten so much. And there they go. And they're heading on down just to be picked off the shelf like we're at a grocery store. That is so cool. So over to the right, I never did get around to it. I realize I should probably make that look a little better. But that's the rubber over there. We'll get back to that one. Well, no, let's start there. This is like the most unfinished part of the whole complex, so I should probably do something about it. But the factory cart's going to take us over to the backside where you're going to see my shame. It is the only part here where we're actually pumping water directly into some machines. So I'm just going to start off with that so that we don't have to, so I can just come out with it right from the get-go. Everything else is being handled with drones, right? So this is the only place where the water is pumping directly into the machine. That having been said, though, not too shabby. I could always, yeah, let's not sign up for more. Let's not sign up for more. If we pretend that part doesn't exist, then out here, this is where we are creating our rubber, and this is being created off the polymer resin that's being created a little further down, but we'll revisit that. And then it's being fed into a factory cart line and conga line down the production. So let's just head back. We're gonna head right on back. Oh, okay, I'm not having much success driving this factory cart. I'm not as good as I thought I was. So maybe I'll just go hoof it on foot, right? So the first stop, we're making the encased uranium cells, right? Yeah, encased uranium cells. That's this. It's the very first thing we ever made. There's all the quick wire. There are the manufacturers. And then the raw ingredients being sent on in from the resource wall. And then those encased uranium cells are flowing on through. And we're making more quick wire, copper, steel pipes. That's molded steel pipe down the lane with the concrete right here. And that's coming on up in order to create our uranium fuel rods. And then they flow right on through. And that's, wow, God, that took me so much longer. As I remember it, this took so long. This took me so long. I think it was it was setting all of this up. All of the materials coming on in, creating the resource wall, all to just do this. 2 buildings, and then create the uranium fuel rods, and then that's what's powering these 3. We've got 3 different nuclear power plants taking in uranium fuel rods. In the background, we've got all the uranium waste just flowing on out, and of course, our now signature setup in order to supply 600 cubic meters of water each, all of the drones on the drone wall. And of course, every single drone has this as its delivery destination, where all of the water's coming on through and then being unpackaged, and then all of the empty containers are being sent back above so that they can just continue in this closed loop, which is awesome. And then all the uranium waste is being sent along down the lane so that we can actually get it all recycled, right? So very, very cool. And then we cross the road and enter into plutonium land. But right in the middle, we've got more drones, this time supplying nitric acid, sulfuric acid, and we've got the empty fluid tanks and empty canisters coming back in a sushi belt. Oh, that's right. perfectly at 120 per minute, and then they're being divvied up and sent back out. That is so cool. I forgot about that. We're also flying in some oil drums, and those oil drums are being sent over here to be unpacked. And this is so that we can create the polymer resin and then create the rubber. And that's what we saw a little earlier with the 2 water extractors. But we won't think about that any longer. Pretend it doesn't even exist, right? Pretend it doesn't exist. We don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. So all the sulfuric acid and the nitric acid is coming on in, being combined with the uranium and the uranium waste, right? And we've got ourselves a glorious setup for the non-fissile, is it non-fissile uranium? Is that what it's called? It's been a long time. Oh, yeah, non-fissile uranium with a fertile uranium recipe. That's what it is. Okay, perfect. And up above, this is where we're actually unpacking all the sulfuric acid and the nitric acid and then sending the containers back down in a mixed sushi belt, which was so cool. So ahead of my time. Out here, all the byproduct water is coming on out to create copper sheets that are used all over the place. So this is creating, I believe, our AI limiters. Yeah, AI limiters right here using the copper sheets and quick wire right there. And the non-fissile uranium is being sent along this glass corridor. And on the edge, gosh, I have to look at the signs. So I believe this is for aluminum casings. So we're making aluminum casings right here. We have, right? Yeah, aluminum casing out with alclad casing, silicon circuit board, and then the quick wire. And then that's getting sent upstairs, and then we're creating the radio control units, which are being stacked down below and being sent over to the next building. Oh, am I making 2 sets of radio control units? Oh, those are computers. My bad. This is silicon computer. And then these are the radio control units. That's what it is, because we actually need computers for those. That makes sense. We got our two manufacturers here. So we're passing quartz on over. We're making crystal oscillators. Those are coming on up, being combined with the computers and the aluminum casing in order to make the radio control units. Wow. And that's all to send forward so we can do the fuse modular frame. Now I remember. And we're making twice as much as we need here because we need this stuff later in the fixonium section because we're in the plutonium section. That's what. This is where they're receiving the rubber. So that's coming all the way from the other side. And out here, we are making the encased plutonium cell. So we are receiving the non-fissile uranium should flow right there. There we go. And it's being combined with the casings for the encased plutonium cell. And then I think once we have that, in order to make the plutonium fuel rods, we're going to need the pressure conversion cube. That's why we needed all that crazy stuff. Man, this is like some of the most complex stuff, pressure conversion cubes, and down the lane, we needed the nuclear pasta as well. So this had like a double whammy. So we're receiving all of the pressure conversion cubes, which we needed the radio control units, the computers, etc., etc. And over here in the blender, we're actually making the fuse modular frame. And in order to make the fuse modular frame, we needed the heavy modular frame. And this is all to make heavy modular frames. And this is where we're handling all the gas. I remember getting so confused with this. There was sulfuric acid, there was nitric acid, and then there was nitrogen gas. And I was getting the nitric acid and the nitrogen gas all mixed up. And one used these, what's it? Empty fluid tanks as opposed to empty canisters. One's like plastic focused and one is aluminum focused. Oh my God. The memories right now. It was very complex to me at the time, and I'm glad that it's all sorted out because watching it fly through and interchange back and forth is I don't even remember. I don't even remember what happened, right? And then out here we're taking the fuse modular frames and we're combining them to make the pressure conversion cubes with the radio control units. And those are what's being passed on over to make the plutonium control, plutonium fuel rods. Okay, so those rods are heading on in, and we're powering eight different nuclear power plants right here with the requisite water wall on the back end. And then this setup right here is just to send material down the lane. These are the pressure conversion cubes. We doubled the output so that we could send the other half down the lane that we're going to use later on the Fixonium. Once we start to get the plutonium waste, you can see the barrels right here. We cross the road and now we're in Fixonium land. So this is where we spend our time. We just made this. So these are all of the Fixonium fuel rod production right here in this sort of like gigantic chunky pantheon. But the waste comes all the way back. I really liked this walkway pattern. I don't know why, but I find it, at first I was using like lines along the edge of the foundation in order to denote a walkway, but I really like this small walkway pattern. I didn't really see it before, but from afar it really stands out, and I think they did such a good job with it. That's the large one, that's the small one. Very cool. So here we're making nuclear pasta, and that's where we need a pressure conversion cube. These drones right here are slamming in the copper powder that we need in order to make the nuclear pasta. We've got, I think, 2 per minute being created, so we needed 400 per minute of the copper powder. Yeah, we're making 2 per minute nuclear pasta right there. The waste comes on over, comes through that building, and actually comes here, where we're creating Fixonium out of it. And we needed singularity cells before we could even create the Fixonium. So all of this is to make the singularity cells, right? So this is where we're making the singularity cells. Now, I don't remember what goes into it if I look. I know there was concrete necessary, but that was just pulling it off the resource wall. These are for, oh, that's right, we needed iron plates. That was such a weird addition to me. I did not expect the need of basic stuff like iron plates. But yeah, concrete, we needed the iron plates. We needed, I'm guessing it's SAM, right? Oh, dark matter crystal. Okay, we needed dark matter crystal, iron plate, concrete, and nuclear pasta. Hence why we're doing the 2 per minute over there and sending them back here. Okay, now the dark matter crystal is right next door. We needed a lot of reanimated SAM. I had to go hunting all over the place to get the stuff, and it's being flown in. This is all reanimated SAM. All these drones are pulling in reanimated SAM and sending them every which way. We're coming on down here, creating dark matter residue, and then up top, we're making dark matter crystals from the dark matter residue. So we're getting 40 per minute out of 400 per minute of the dark matter residue, and then those crystals are actually being used to create the singularity cells, which are then being passed on over to create the Fixonium. And then after that, we're just ripping off as much of the aluminum ingots as possible in order to do a mass conversion and actually apply both the reanimated SAM along with the aluminum in order to create what we need for the fixite trigon in order to make the fixite ingots. And then we have all, I think it was 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 14. We had 14 of these constructors, and they're pumping out 420 per minute of the fixite trigon. The excess is getting sunk off, so I think there's like 20 per minute excess. And then finally, we did this together, electromagnetic control rods. We've got a lot of material coming in order to make the 20 per minute of the electromagnetic control rods. That output's flowing on through the fixite trigon building, passing under, and then heading into what we just made today, our 2 quantum encoders, creating the final step, the Fixonium fuel rod, I believe. Yep, fuel rod, with the output flowing right back to the Fixonium in the particle accelerator right here. And then those rods enter our final stage with our final 4 nuclear power plants with the prerequisite 600 cubic meter each of our water wall with all the drones. So how many drones do we have by the end of this? Right now, we are utilizing, well, it says plus 500 other ports, but it doesn't tell me how many. It's a lot. It's a lot. Plus 500 ports. That's all the drones we've used in our game. That's kind of nuts. And just to give you an idea of the vast the vast scale of it all, look at that. Look at all the packagers. Look at all the water. My gosh. We definitely made this harder on ourselves than it needed to be, but that's something else. I'm very pleased with the result. I gotta say, I'm glad that it's done, though. I have spent a lot of time on this site, but it's finally done. And that is just awesome. Look at all the drones. I wanted to see a drones. That's a lot of drones. That is a lot of drones. Bunnies, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I feel like we've... Oh, am I riding on a drone? Wow, really, guys? Really? Well, that was rude. We finally completed our nuclear power plant facility or complex, and it is a lot. It is a lot. But I have to say that I am very, very glad that I did it, and it's just nice to have something that I can just sort of explore, just sort of look at, remember, and just see it all work. There are so many complex pieces, and they're all working together towards one end, just making these little these little tiny rods that power some big giant percolator coffee looking things. And I dig, just there's something magical just watching it all hum and work without any sort of intervention on your part. So I'm very, very, very happy about it, and I hope that the bunnies, that you've all enjoyed, you know, coming along the journey with me. So obviously we are done here. We're done making things, at least on video, but I would like to do one more video where we just sort of like take in the world as a whole that we have created. I think that'll be a nice send-off, and then we can wrap that up. So either way, it should be pretty cool. I hope that you're here to check it out with me. Now, if you enjoyed yourself, please feel free to like, share, comment down below. It helps us a great deal. I had a total blast. I hope you did as well. And I can't wait to get into the next one with you. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.